I am Linda Deer, and today I'm going to be reading to you from the 137 Tips, Learnings, Lessons, and Awarenesses in Guided. All right. Guided is available on Amazon in paperback, Kindle, and audiobook format, and I read the book myself. Okay, so today, last week was the 6th episode of Lessons from Guided. Today, I will continue to read from the 137 Tips, Learnings, Lessons, and Awarenesses in Guided, my true life story, the roadmap for stepping on board at any point along your life path so you too can join forces with your own spirit guides and angels, creating a better life than you could have done on your own. Just when I thought I was done writing Guided, my guides started to wake me up every night at 1 a.m. for 2 weeks, starting from the beginning of my manuscript, stopping me where they added a tip, a learning, a lesson, or an awareness. They told me these would help the reader understand how guidance works in their life. These are like afterthoughts of reflection on what was really going on in my life as I was living it. Living in two worlds, not just this one. This is what consciousness is all about. Being aware of what's really going on from this greater awareness. In my training, I show you, like my guides showed me, how this works. Chapter 7. The move out of inner city Sacramento was a cultural shock. It was a move from gangs and fighting to a drug-addled culture. I was an outcast once again because I already had what these kids were searching for, a connection to my guides and a deeper understanding of myself. Along with my dreadful childhood, school was no place for me either. I was about to find out why, out of all the bold moves I would make, one that would shock my family into letting me go at the tender age of 16. All right. So this is a part 2 of Guided we're in now. Exploding into my new life. I was finally out of that childhood. Chapter 8, the day I got out alive. And here's the awareness, the first awareness in this chapter. When words come through without any thought and you just blurt them out, this is telepathic communication direct from your guides. Never make the mistake that this came from you. It came through you. In the case mentioned above, I was being notified by my guides that this childhood trauma was finally behind me. And here's what led up to it. On December 17th of 1968, Alex and I were married in Reno, Nevada, at the Justice of the Peace. My mom and dad and Alex's mom and dad were present. I was 16 years old and Alex was 17, so we needed parental consent. My mom asked me if I told Alex about my bedwetting problem yet. Without hesitation, I blurted out. I didn't have that problem anymore, and to my surprise, I didn't. Without any effort on my part, it completely stopped the day I left home, and it never happened again. This was the first time I had solid evidence of just how toxic that environment really was throughout my early life. By my mid-30s, I would discover that what causes someone to wet the bed is fear of the dominant parent, and that was my mom. It is an emotional release. No wonder I couldn't stop it. And why it stopped the moment I got away from her once and for all. Okay. Okay, so you guys, when you get that impulse, when you feel those words come out and you're not, it's like, where did that come from? That's your guidance. You have to write that stuff down in your journal so you don't miss it when it shows up. Okay, it's letting you know what's to come. And I was so surprised by that. Learning. Getting out of an abusive, repressive life is a real accomplishment. Once you do, you need to revisit your life to put the pieces back together again. That may be the hardest thing you will ever have to do. It has been for me. I appreciate everything my guides did to get me that far. It's gratitude that makes my life so special now. And here's what led up to that. My life had become fantastic. Independence was the most amazing feeling, and I knew that life was going to get better from here on out as I recalled my guide's words. Life will get better for you as you get older if you can make it through childhood. They were right. I thanked my guides for guiding me through the riskiest part of my life, my childhood. Nothing could ever be that bad again. I only need one. I'll get my own. God. I couldn't believe I had gotten out alive. I wasn't worried about anything, even though we had no food, and I was really hungry because I was pregnant. Alex would always bring me home food from his work so I could eat. I knew we would be all right. Life was peaceful and happy. Alex had to hitchhike to work 30 miles each way every day because we didn't have a car. But he didn't mind that at all. Alex did what it took, and he wasn't spoiled like the other kids I had known. All right. So gratitude. Oh. Gratitude comes from a lot of pain. And once you survive it, you actually survive whatever it is you went through. That is no time. That is no time to give up. Your life is just starting. You've got something no one else has. You have this enormous gratitude that'll carry you forever. Learning. No matter who you are, having a child changes you. Maybe for the first time in your life, the focus is off of you. Once you experience this, you can never go back. This is when many mothers make their initial contact with their guides. After all, they just brought someone in from the other side, one of them. Mother's intuition is really your guides helping you. And here's what led up to that. In July of 1969, I was still 16 years old when Cindy was born. She was perfectly healthy with no signs of damage from my mother having kicked me in the stomach on the kitchen floor. Not only was she healthy, she was beautiful. However, the first time I held Cindy, the worst feeling came over me. I felt like I must have been out of my mind to bring her into a world like this. In that moment, I realized that what an awful place this world could be to an innocent new life like the one I was holding in my arms. Here I was, only 16 years old, and I had already learned what a dysfunctional and evil place this world could be. I was shocked at what I was feeling, but it was brutally honest and true. I was sick inside, and I'm not sure anyone can understand what I felt in that moment. I vowed to never have another child. All right, so when you have a child, it does change you. There's no question. It changes both of you. It changes the mother and the father, no matter what. All right. Boy, that sure did go quick. Okay. Number 8. Hold on, Ray. Let me get there. This is a really tough read, boy. I'll tell you that. So where are my notes here? Hold on. I must have moved a little too fast here. Okay, that's the child. Wow. Okay. So let me just go after it like this. All right. I know I made other notes. Okay. Nothing ever happens by accident. This is a tip. Nothing ever happens by accident. This is an example of how your guides will show you things that are important, even though they may not play out for years to come. Your job is to pay attention and even write things down if you are concerned about remembering them later. That will prove to be critical to the moves you make in your future, making the right decisions, not just bumping along, okay? All right, so let me see here. Okay, so this is what happened. I'm just going to read this. I'm going to paraphrase. Alex and I, we moved into our new apartment, and we went out and bought furniture. I mean, a refrigerator and a bed on the floor. And a baby in a crib. We needed a few things. And we have the money because Alex worked so hard to get us that far so soon. So we went to a furniture store, and I started talking where we were going to buy our stuff. It was great value, and we could get what we needed there. I started talking with the owner's wife. She told me about the time she had a breakdown. I was fascinated with that and asked her what it was like to actually have a breakdown. She told me she didn't know she had a breakdown until she was well again. I asked her if there were any signs that she was heading in that direction, and she said that there weren't. She said she didn't remember anything that indicated it was happening. She didn't look like a person who had a breakdown. It wasn't like she went nuts or was unstable in any way. She said she just shut down one day and turned off to everything around her for a while. After her candid description of her breakdown, I realized that having a breakdown didn't mean the person went crazy. However, she said the doctors put her on drugs of some kind. I couldn't understand why she couldn't remember what led up to the breakdown. Then I started wondering why I was so interested in this in the first place. I had a strong sense that what I learned from that lady would be important for me to know someday. My guides were showing me this, but why? And once again, the tip, nothing ever happens by accident. So if you track what's going on with you, if you experience something unusual and out of the ordinary, like I did that day, it's important to write it down so that when that day does come where something about that, something significant shows up, that you recall this incident and you go, oh, now I know, one, what it's really all about, and two, why I was supposed to know it. You guys, nothing happens suddenly. Nothing happens by accident. It's all pieces to the puzzle that follow you throughout your life, that bring you to these understandings, these critical parts you put together that sum it all up, that just bring clarity to you. And then you can move to a higher plane. That's the whole reason we're here. Learning. This is what happens when people live fearful, paranoid lives. They draw what they fear to them. We were too young to understand that at the time. We were just having fun and unwittingly being agents of delivering to them what they were creating by their judgments of us. And here we go. Here's what led up to this. This is pretty funny. All right. So I'm going to just paraphrase again. Alex and I, we had our apartment. We got our furnishings for our apartment, and we were feeling pretty good about ourselves. And then we bought our first home. I was 19 years old and Alex was 20 when we bought our first brand new home, put in a built-in swimming pool. We were bold, okay? We believed in ourselves. We were having fun. Okay, so that's what's leading up to this. So we move into this neighborhood of brand new homes on half-acre lots in Fair Oaks, California, really good neighborhood. And this was 1971. So we moved into this neighborhood with people that are, some of them are the age of our parents. But we didn't think about that. We get our new home. We have our new little family home for our little girl and each other, and a swimming pool. We can have friends over. It was awesome, you guys. It was amazing. And we move in, and the neighbors have this attitude toward us, like we're not welcome. They suspect that we're up, that we're bad, that we're young and wild energy for the neighborhood. We're off. We don't fit. Okay, they're not letting us fit in. They're treating us like we don't belong. So here's what happened. Okay, and once again, the tip that I read that leads up to this is what happens when people act from fear, paranoia, and judgment. And that's what they were. They were terrified of us. We were 19 and 20 years old with a little baby. Are you kidding? Okay. So they are in all this judgment, and we'd have swimming parties, and they'd call the police on us all the time. And the police would come over and see that we weren't doing anything wrong. So they'd leave, but it was a consistent harassment from these neighbors. So let me get to the part that this is just the funniest thing. Okay, so that we'd have Alex would have the carpenters over for barbecues on the weekends because they helped us build the house, sweat equity. That's it, and we really appreciated that. So we'd have them over, and they were kind of a wild bunch, carpenters, young, made a lot of money and worked hard. Okay. We weren't welcomed by our neighbors. Our priority when we moved in was to put in our swimming pool, which is what we did. And Alex had was really put off by the neighbors' judgment of us and how they treated us after we moved in. He was actually surprised, like I was. So he responded to the neighbors' judgment by refusing to put in the front yard landscaping. It's not like it is today where there's HOAs that make you do it. All right. So he pushed back, letting him know, don't do this. Okay. In addition to having the Plymouth Roadrunner, which was a muscle car. Now that's the first car I got, brand new Plymouth Roadrunner. I mean, you guys, I guess we didn't fit the neighborhood. Okay. Not a family car like our neighbors. Alex also bought a brand new motorcycle. Larry, who didn't like the neighbors either, my younger brother, was living with us at that time and had his dune buggy. Okay, so we have a Roadrunner, a dune buggy, and a motorcycle, and we're brand new in the neighborhood that we're not welcome in. And Alex had his work truck. Our house was not the neighborhood showplace because we didn't put the landscaping in, but we put the built-in swimming pool in. Only after the neighborhood reaction against us becoming obvious, we didn't notice that we didn't have anything in common with these neighbors. Being friends with them wasn't important because we had our own friends. Of course, these carpenters were a wild bunch. They were funny and they were always looking for an outlet to let off the pressure from a hard week of work. They made a lot of money and spent it just as fast as they made it. We were the youngest among them too, but they really liked us and admired us. Every weekend, the street was full of our friends' vehicles. We played music and the pool was filled with kids and parents having fun. There was a lot of laughter, and the neighbors would call the police, like I said, every time that they thought we were too loud, or maybe we're doing something we shouldn't be doing. Okay, so while it was possible, it wasn't the most mature response from us. Our guests, the carpenters, would climb up on the roof and collectively moon the neighbors. There had to be 10 or more of them, and it was quite a sight. Despite the disapproval, we saw our life moving forward, and we were happy with it. So this is what happens when negativity and fear, paranoia and fear and judgment shows up. It bites them in the butt, is what it does. And in this case, we could have been a little bit more mature about it, but that was coming. So learning, this is a learning in the next. Even with the lifelong training I received from my guides, this news was sad for me. However, I knew I was at a major crossroads in my life once again, and I was being guided. Your guides don't think about how you may react to the timely truth they convey. Their only concern is you and your well-being. That's their job. Okay, so here's what led up to that. All right. Even though things were working out well, my guides had a surprise in store for me. Now, we were recently moved into our new home. We were having a really good time. Life was good. And out of the blue, I had an amazing realization that things were going to be headed in a new direction. I refer to age 19 as the best year of my life, specifically because of this crystal clear clarity my guides sent to me. It was an instant insight, and I knew I had to find my own way without Alex. My guides made it clear that we had no long-term future together, but I didn't see why at the time. My guides now directed me to focus on my future, and it was my time to go into action. So from then on out, there was no doubt in my mind that I had to make my own way. Alex had reached his peak, but I had a ways to go. I never said anything to Alex or anyone else. He hadn't done anything wrong, but I was being guided in a whole new direction. I knew what it felt like to actively live in two worlds at the same time. I had mastered that early on and never hesitated to take action, knowing that their guidance always had a shelf life. So that's what led up to this. Your guides and how they help you, how they may tell you something that hurts your heart. But you know what? They see what you can't see it when you're in it. And they prepare you. Again, I'm going to repeat this. You guys have to, it's really important that you write down what's going on along the way, even when you didn't maybe want to know that or hear that. A lot of times they tell you stuff you can't wait to achieve and do, and you see it coming and it's amazing. And then there's those times when there's consequences. Okay. Write it all down. Even write the parts down where when you write it down, you go, I'm not going to perform on that. I would never do that. Tell on yourself. Write that down too, because it won't be long before you see how that won't hold water. Okay. Because they see more than you do, but they're not supposed to tell you everything because you're here to learn. You're here to solve your own dilemma and get through it and become stronger and more than you were before you got here. So they don't tell you what to do, but they point you that way. Okay. Okay, you guys. So instead of our webinar, the next Saturday, usually we do our webinar the last Saturday of each month, but it looks like the guides have something else in mind. Guidance always supersedes what we think we need to do. And they made it clear that there will be no webinar at the end of this month. They will let us know when there will be one. Maybe it won't be a Saturday, the last Saturday of the month. We really don't know. You guys, things are changing fast. Stay tuned. All right, we'll let you know. So contemplate how guidance is always working in your life. Join me again next Saturday, January 30th at 1 p.m. Pacific time on my Facebook page, my Facebook timeline, or my YouTube channel. Use the search term Linda Deer. We'll see you then.